You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me here back again on our Cabral HouseCalls. We're about to get started with part 2. We answered so many great questions yesterday on the show. Really excited to see some of the IHPs writing in order to better serve their coaching clients themselves. We had people writing about career advice. We had all sorts of questions came around viruses, and we had questions about POIS. We also had, what else do we have for questions? On DIM supplementation, on the CBO protocol, on getting rid of acne associated with digestive issues. Great show. Hopefully you're able to tune into that. Looks like we answered 7 questions there. Hopefully we'll get to another 7 questions or so today. Many questions in the queue. Though we are starting at July 16th. So if your question came in before July 16th, it will already have been answered on a previous show. And if your question came in anywhere after July 16th, it will be coming on a future show. We are going to get to about 7/18, so July 18th or so, maybe the 20th for today's show. Looking forward to diving right in. There's a couple longer questions today. I want everyone to know that yesterday's show was at stephencabral.com/1303, and that all of today's questions will be at 1304. So today's show notes and all of those questions at stephencabral.com/1304, such as Sue's question. Sue is up first. It's a longer question, so do feel free to read along right at stephencabral.com/1304. All right, let's dive into the questions. Sue's up first. Hi, Stephen. I live in the Sunshine Coast in QLD Australia, and I've been following your podcast for a while now, since Melissa and Nick had you on the show. You're amazing, and I will do your course in the future, but at the present, my 24-year-old daughter is going through a journey with stage 4 Hodgkins Lymphoma. She was diagnosed in 2016 when she was 21 and started ABVD chemotherapy. She completed 2 rounds, and her PET scan showed it had reduced 75%. She then decided to heal naturally. She did that for 18 months with a naturopath and did vitamin C infusions, hyperthermia, colonics, coffee enemas, juices, supplements. After 18 months, it had increased, and she had to have a rod put in her hip, down her thigh prior to the chemo as the cancer, as it had eroded the femur joint. Okay, so we go kind of through the therapies that she did. She did 6 cycles of this, starting to see that it was reduced, but in the latest scan, showed a slight increase in the node in her neck, was able to stabilize in the spine. We have limited funds, so we would like you to look at what you did in healing and start with a couple of tests first, your recommendations. I hope this gets to you. I wasn't sure if this is the correct way to contact you. Have a great day. Kind regards, Sue. And my team wrote that Sue has already been answered by us, but she would still like to hear my opinion. Okay, Sue, happy to help. And it absolutely does sound like your daughter was seeing a good naturopath, and they were doing a lot of the typical protocols that we would use in natural-based medicine. And those would be the coffee enemas, the hyperthermia, the green juices, the plant-based diet. So all things that we know would typically help to shrink and kill tumor cells. What we didn't write was if there's anything that was used like IP6, if there was anything like specific to target cancer. And again, like I can't give you those recommendations, right? Because on a podcast or in general, I cannot cure, treat, diagnose any types of disease-based form. That's out of the scope of practice. What I can do, and what I do always do for people going through cancer-based issues in their life, is refer them first for education through cancertutor.com. you can actually type in there Hodgkins lymphoma. And you can see what thousands of other people have done successfully throughout the world right there. And that's a free service. So I do recommend that as well. Other things that I recommend looking at are some of the German and Swiss-based functional medicine centers that specialize in cancer-based treatments. I also recommend maybe looking at a Panchakarma-based center. They're in Europe as well. You don't need to go to India or Sri Lanka. So you can look at that. One that's a little bit more famous and that I was at, that I interned, was one in Baruwala in Sri Lanka. That's a higher end one. Like, that's one that I can definitely recommend. It's because it's not like Sri Lanka's like easy living, but you're on quite a nice resort and very, very good treatments, highest quality. They actually employ always the valedictorian of the top medical school there in Sri Lanka, and also people come over from India. That's nice as well. And then what else can I recommend? The Gerson Institute here in the US. And then I believe it's an integrative cancer center in the United States as well, like American Cancer Treatment Centers of America or something like that. And that's integrative as well. So that's what I recommend. I mean, they do this every day, whereas I might have an educational standpoint on it and kind of point people in the right direction. I'm not a cancer provider, and I wouldn't want to say that I was. So that's why I point people to a specialist in this area. But, infrared saunas and those types of modalities are what I do typically recommend. All right, thank you. And I do wish you and your daughter the best of health and the best of success. Stay positive, keep pushing forward, and I know that all will be well, and I wish you the best. James is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and trying to help as many people as you can. I was recommended to you by a friend who had anxiety, and after doing your detox and CBO protocols, you have changed her life. I apologize for the long story, but here's a quick background to me. Had stomach issues throughout my life, which spiked about 5 years ago after drinking too much. Saw many different doctors, was told I have H. pylori and retrovirus. Year and a half ago, I had a panic attack out of nowhere. It's a long question, so again, everyone can follow along on the podcast page. Nasal sprays, and that created dysregulation of my HPA axis. Unable to eat any type of fruit makes my anxiety worse. I decided that I needed to get cortisol, so I did the Dutch test, which showed extremely high levels of cortisol. I've seen many natural practitioners. Got it. Okay, so you're basically, how do I get my life back in order? And we can help with this for sure. So here's the thing. I don't use the Dutch test. I've used it before, and you know my philosophy. I don't own any lab companies. I'll never own any lab companies. I'm not a lab technician. What I do is I choose the best labs out there. I've chosen the best lab. I like saliva-based hormone testing. That's the bottom line. And I like it through the highest CLIA lab accredited associations. I like the best of the best because I want to help people heal. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. That's all there is to it. So here's the thing. We need to get you well. I mean, that's it. I'd love you to run the big 5. You have gut-based issues for sure. You can't handle fructose. Most likely you have candida overgrowth and bacterial overgrowth, and you have H. pylori. What I would do is run any lab that you want. Let our team know all of this is going on. We're going to put you on a full protocol. It's going to include it with H. pylori, and it's going to include the CBO, and it's going to include the citracidal. We're going to do things to re-regulate the HPA axis, most likely using adrenal energy support in the morning and then adrenal soothe in the evening. We're going to look at your hair tissue mineral analysis, which we needed to run. Then we'll look at calcium versus magnesium. We'll look at your sodium levels, which could be causing the anxiety as well. But we need data, right? So run whatever you feel comfortable. Whatever you can't run finance-wise, I understand. I was there myself, so how can I not support you? So run whatever you can. We'll help you out. We'll get you a plan. Run at least one lab through Equilibrium Nutrition, and we'll be able to get you that. Now, again, unless you're coming in as a private client, we can't look at all your outside labs. There's only so much time in the day, and we only allot a half hour for that one lab. So, because again, we're trying to make it as financially feasible as possible for everyone. I mean, you have to understand is that we have a huge team and we are making this work on a global level, and we'd love to do even more, but like no one's funding us, right? Like no one funds us. No one gives us any money. We do all of this ourselves, and every dollar goes back into the business to make sure that it grows and we can help more people. That's the truth. So we can't look over all your labs if you're only, if you're just coming in as a lab client. So if you come in as a private client, we can look at everything and you could run maybe a hair tissue mineral analysis, right? So that's what I would do if possible. But here's the thing, we'll help you however we can. That's the truth. So let us know and we will do that for you, James. Okay. All right. Amy's up next. Is marijuana okay to be using while healing? Wow. We live in a state where it is legal, so I see a lot of people who use it. Anxiety seems to be the number one reason my clients use it. Is this allowed or does it stop the healing process? Yeah, great question. So Amy, I don't recommend marijuana. There's only 2 cases of why marijuana would be better than CBD. And here's why. If you need to increase appetite, marijuana does that. The THC does, right? The tetrahydrocannabinol in the cannabinoids versus CBD, which is just the cannabinoids or cannabinol. Or cannabidiol, I should say. So here's the thing. And the other one is that it may be an antimicrobial when ingested. So we don't know that about CBD. We believe so, but we don't know yet. So those are the only 2 reasons. CBD will give you many more reasons as well as more. And that is as an anti-anxiolytic, because some people who consume marijuana or cannabis with THC actually get more paranoia or more anxiety. My highest recommendation is to use a full spectrum organic CBD oil or soft gel or gummy. And we hope to be offering these again in the future. We offer the highest quality. It is more expensive because it works. Now, there's a lot of CBD out there. You take it like, I didn't really feel anything. Well, that's because there's probably nothing in it, right? I mean, that's the truth. It's probably really diluted. It's probably really weak. It's probably been cooked away. There's probably nothing good left in it, and it's not full spectrum. If you use a CBD isolate, which is what the US is trying to push companies to use, you're not going to get the benefits. It's not full spectrum, right? That's the problem. The US is trying to make people use isolates. We refuse to because we know people aren't going to get the benefits. So you can find a good company, full spectrum organic CBD, and you'll want to start probably at a dose of somewhere between 25 and 50 milligrams. And you should feel it if you're using the oil under your tongue, hold it for 2 minutes. You'll feel it within about a half hour. A soft gel, you'll feel it in about an hour to an hour and a half. The soft gels they usually progressively get stronger and stronger and stronger. They have a much more potent effect, but it takes a little while to get in your system. They're both great. They're just different things. Now, let's say you do 25 or 50 milligrams, you don't get enough of a dosage. You can keep going up. You cannot overdose pure natural CBD. There are studies with children at 600 milligrams with autism and other disorders. Am I saying to use that? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is you can use a lot. So from 50, you might go to 100 milligrams. Another interesting thing, if you look at the research and the studies, like I love to, you'll find that people who get anxiety or paranoia from smoking marijuana are actually given CBD oil or CBD. And because of that, it removes the anxiety. It's a natural anti-anxiolytic. I can't make those claims for any products, but what I can say is that's what the research says, right? So the research allows me to say this is proven in research that it's a natural anti-anxiolytic. So that's what I'm sharing with you, and that's what I would use, not marijuana. Marijuana is a little bit more harsh on the detoxification process. If you smoke it, it's not great on your lungs. There are other reasons why I don't recommend it, but again, I do recommend CBD. All right, Luann is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm a 51-year-old woman who has been experiencing hot flashes for years. I'm following the recommendations in your hot flash podcast in 968. Completed the 21-day detox, did the parasite protocol, CBO and CBO finisher, heavy metal detox, and the deep sleep protocol. I've been following the de-stress protocol. All right, she goes through all the great things that she's using. And it says that the intensity of the hot flashes is greatly reduced, but still occur approximately 4 times a day. I notice my hot flashes often coincide with emotional response, such as when I feel embarrassed, shame, worried, or made a mistake. Now I see. Thank you for writing that. I see what you're saying now. Okay, so let me go back. This is a hot flash. Yes, I understand that. But it's a flushing, right? It's a flushing. It's exaggerated. It's exaggerated when, let's say you're like, usually it doesn't happen as much in adults, but you're a kid and you get embarrassed and your cheeks get red, right? Like you get that flush. So that right there, though, we want to look at that. Yes, it has to do with hormones. There's no doubt about that. But it's more of that exaggerated sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system issue. I would love you to run what's called a hair tissue mineral analysis. I'd love to see if there's a shortage of magnesium in your body. That's something that a lot of women overlook. They do all the great things like you're doing. Do we need to supplement with a little bit more magnesium? That would be interesting to see, and I would be able to let you know that on a hair tissue mineral analysis. What else would I like to recommend or at least look at? Well, if it's just the hot flashes, yes, I would use the Estravera at night, maybe even potentially in the morning. But I don't know if this anymore has to do with an estrogen-based issue. I'm looking at more of that autonomic nervous system, so the balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, which is elicited, that response is elicited through fight or flight and then rest, relax. And it seems like, hey, maybe you get into that fight or flight when you get embarrassed. And I would also say like, well, why are you feeling embarrassed or those types of things during the day? Anyways, we can look at that and we can say, okay, does the body need more zinc? Does it need less copper? And we'll find that on a hair tissue mineral analysis. One thing I would look at too, if you're not looking at it, is chase tree berry is nice too for balancing those hormones. So at least start there. Feel free to follow up at cabralsupportgroup.com. We'd love to be able to support you there as well. All right. Thank you for writing in. Appreciate that. Jody's up next. Jody says, hi there. I'm from Australia and I'm looking at starting somewhere with Stephen Cabral tests or wellness plan. Just deciding on best first step for me based on my budget and what to prioritize. Currently taking thyroid extract and thyroid medication. Also taking DHEA. And I'm taking something for estrogen balancing along with other vitamins. I try and eat gluten and dairy free, but I still suffer from stomach issues. So I'm keen to try the food sensitivity test to get some clarity on what foods to stop eating. Could you recommend a good starting point for me on a lower budget, or am I better off saving for the big five? Also, my doctor says I won't be able to stop taking thyroid medication ever. Is this true? Thank you for your time. Kind regards, Jody. Okay, Jody, here's the thing. As long as you have a thyroid left, because there are people who've had thyroidectomies with partial or full. If you have your thyroid, there's no one that should be telling you need to take medication for the rest of your life. If you have your heart and you're on a statin, a doctor should not say you need to be on a statin the rest of your life. If you have acid reflux, you shouldn't have to be on Prilosec the rest of your life. You should not have to be on medication the rest of your life to be able to rebalance your body. You'll be on medication the rest of your life if you don't rebalance your body. But remember, MDs are not trained in that rebalancing. They're trained on what to do if your numbers are off. They give you the medication to essentially mask those symptoms, right? That's the truth. I'm not trying to disparage or be mean or anything like that. They're not bad people, right? They're good people, very smart people, but that's what they were trained. Okay, here's the thing. Let's help you with the thyroid. Let's help you with the gut. I'm going to give you order of importance of what I would do if I were you. And yes, the big five is absolutely best. But here's what I would do in order of importance. I would do the thyroid adrenal hormone so we can help you with that thyroid and see what it's related to. Then I would run the organic acids test for the gut. And then I would see what vitamins are necessary. And then I would run the hair tissue mineral analysis to look at your nutrient levels in terms of your minerals and heavy metals that could also be affecting your thyroid. And then after that, I would run the food sensitivity test. And then after that, I would run the omega-3 test. And if you wanted to put in one more, there's the stool test. So that's what I would do. That's the order I would do them in. If you can't afford them all, that's okay. Get started. Yes, if you can save for the big five, great. But if you can't, just get started. Run 3 labs now. Run another one in 3 months from now. Another one in another 3 months. That's totally fine. Start to work in your health today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start today. Remember, you get better. You're not going to get better overnight. That's the thing is I don't hype things up to people. I don't pretend everybody online saying, be better in 24 hours. I'm sorry, not in the real world, not when you run a clinical practice. What I see is that people get better over time. How long? 21 days for initial huge boost. Another 6 weeks for another big boost. 12 to 16 weeks, most people are then better, and then you do the work to stay that way, right? Some people a little longer, right? So why would some people take a little bit longer? Well, their illness is a little deeper. That's okay. We still help them as well. Takes a little longer. That's okay. You have the rest of your life to be well. That's what we want. So that's what I would do. Thyroid adrenal hormone, organic acids test, hair tissue mineral analysis, food sensitivity test, and then the omega-3 test. Of course, there is always the stool test if you think you have real digestive issues, potentially like parasites or H. pylori. All right, great question. And let's get one more question for the day. It's quite a large one, and that one will be from Harmony. Okay, so Harmony is asking, hi, Stephen. Firstly, I would love to thank you for everything that you're doing. I listen to your podcast most days, and I've learned so much from you. I do, however, have a question or story for you and feel like you may be the last hope for finding a resolution. I suffer from IBS-C and bloating abdominal distension daily. I feel that it has become problematic and prevalent with prevalent post-kids. Okay, prevalent post-kids, after having kids. Got it. I have 2 twins, turned 7 years old. I'm extremely frustrated. I've tried every diet under the sun, except the histamine, which is the next step. I followed FODMAP for quite some time with minimal relief. I've seen all sorts of different doctors, very disheartened with the results. I'm still constipated, using different types of medications, went for my dosha reading, actually gained some weight trying their different protocols. I've trained in all sorts of different exercise. I put on a little bit of weight. All the diets contradict each other. I'm really limited in the foods I can eat. I'm so confused. Please help me. I want to live my life without having to worry about packing spare clothes for when the bloating kicks in and I cannot fit into my pants or tops by the end of the day. I actually have stopped going out in the evenings. I wanted to get back to a comfortable weight for me and a flat tummy, minus the occasional mood swings too. Thank you. Okay. We can absolutely help you with this. I mean, I know that you seem like you're all alone and you're dealing with this and you don't know what to do. We do this every single day in our practice. So think about what you do in your life, like every single day. Honestly, I'm not good at a lot of different things. Like people, they're like, hey, check out my new car. And I'm like, oh, it looks great. And then they like lift up the hood and they show me the engine. I know it's an engine. I don't know what any of the different parts are. I'm, like completely illiterate when it comes to like, how does this car work? I know it has wheels. I know it takes gas or it is electric. And I know there's an engine. And I know that there's brakes. That's about it. There's not a lot of going on there. But I'm telling you, when you take it to a mechanic and he puts it up on a lift, he knows where everything is. He doesn't need the manual. He doesn't need to know, oh, this is where the oil is located. No, he knows everything inside and out. It's the same thing with us in digestion. We've done this for so long. I mean, I've been doing it forever because it was such a big part of my health. I had candida overgrowth. I had H. pylori. I had SIBO, all sorts of issues with my gut. I had IBS. I had all of those different things. So I know what is wrong with you. I don't know the exact thing yet because I haven't seen it. All I need you to do is this. For your own self, for your own knowledge, is to run an organic acids test and a stool test. You can run a food test too if you'd like, but if you want to save money there, run the organic acids test, run the stool test. It's going to show you the 4 things that you can have wrong with your gut. Parasites, H. pylori, candida overgrowth, or bacterial overgrowth. And the reason why I say overgrowth for the last 2 is that they're supposed to be there, but not overgrown. And it's the reason why sometimes you're bloated and sometimes you're not. With parasites, they shouldn't be there. With H. pylori, it shouldn't be there, right? So here's the thing. If we run the organic acids test first page, we're going to look at candida markers, good bacterial markers, and then Clostridia, bad bacteria markers. And then on your stool test, we're also going to look at parasites, H. pylori, bacterial overgrowth, and then excess yeast. Do we just look at that? But that's like an extra. Then what we're going to do if we find those, we're going to put you on a protocol that's going to heal your digestion. And even if you didn't want to run the labs, check out my podcast that I just did. We're going to say that it's dedicated to you, Harmony, all right? From now on, this podcast on Tuesday that I did is dedicated to Harmony. And it's episode 1299, stephencabral.com/1299, how to finally heal your digestion. And I take you through not kind of what we do, I take you through exactly what we do. It's not a FODMAP diet. It's not a candida diet. Please listen to my podcast, Why Candida Diets Don't Work. And it goes for all of them. Please check that out. They are on the right track, but it's not enough. It is not enough. And I know Panchakarma is amazing, but it does not heal your gut. I'm sorry. You know nobody's a bigger proponent of Ayurveda than me. I'm trying to bring Ayurveda to the 21st century. But Panchakarma is a detoxification-based protocol, not a gut healing protocol, okay? What people are going wrong is they're doing the diets, they're doing the detox, which you need, and I love, and I promote. But if you do not do the removal process, and you do not very specifically re-inoculate the gut, you're always going to deal with these issues. You will always deal with these issues. We want to help you. Let us help you, Harmony. We really want to help you. So again, you can work with any practitioner in the world, but you've already been through it, right? You sound like me. I went to over 50 different doctors and specialists and coaches and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I spent more money than I care to admit, and it didn't work. But then I learned and I learned and I learned and I read and I read and I read, and then I had the knowledge. I met my mentor. She said, do this. I did that. I did this then I did that. And then I did this and I was better, right? Like it's how it works. Like it's incremental. It's step by step. You learn more. You try some things out, tweak it a little bit, and it works perfect. And then you're well again. And then though, here's the amazing thing. You're not just well. You are now able to realize when you start to get off kilter a little bit again. So then you recalibrate right away. Before you start to go downhill, you recalibrate, you go right back to, hey, this was working for me. And you get that health back. Now, the other amazing thing is this, and this is what I want for every single person listening. When you get well, you're well. But I'm telling you, you won't even know how good you can feel until you've been well for about a year or a year and a half of continuing to do the same practices that have gotten you well. That's why I love working with people in a clinical-based practice. I see people 5-10 years later, and I'm like, wow, like you look better now a decade later than you did then. Meaning, like, what do I say? You look better. You look vibrant. You look like you're full of energy. You have good color to your face, right? You have like, I can just see the health exuding from your eyes. Your eyes are clear. So that's the thing. And that's what I want for everybody. I'm a huge proponent of functional medicine. You know that functional medicine labs give us data, but it's all about the protocols and it's all about the information that you're getting and how to make the small adjustments along the way. I detail that in episode 1299. So Harmony, thank you so much for writing in. Thank you everyone for always tuning into the Cabral Concept. I appreciate you. I truly do. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for your reviews on iTunes and Google and all the other ones as well. Thank you so much. And hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow for our Motivation and Mindset Monday. We've got a great show coming up. Stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.